Let us quickly review the Mechaber Ramah and do a few more Mechabers on the dissolution, the ability to dissolve a partnership. On page 11 or 12, Simon Kuf Ayin Vav and Shulchan Aruch. So we said like this: if partners make a condition that they're going to stay in a partnership for a certain amount of time, you cannot unilaterally leave the partnership. The other partner could say, no, I'm not interested in your leaving. You cannot divide neither the principal nor the profit until that time is over, because obviously when the profit is reinvested in the partnership, in the investment, that increases the ability to make further money. The Ramah says over here on page 12, Kufay Vav, something quite fascinating, and perhaps you would even argue it's counterintuitive. V'imshina o pasha tochazman. Let's say someone changed something within the time of the dissolution of the partnership. Okay, so one of the partners altered, o avar al t'nai, or he violated a condition. Afilu hachi ena yachal lachlo. You can't divide the partnership. You can't dissolve it until the expiration date for the partnership. Ella mishale ma'ashehivsid, but you have to pay what you lost. Ugedalo ki yesh cholka, but not like those that argue. This is a fascinating Ramah. So Reuven and Shimon are in a partnership to, I don't know, whatever it is, to market and lease cars. And they agree, they make a condition that they're not going to lease cars to kids that are under 25, let's say, which is standard operating procedure. And Shimon goes ahead and leases it to someone under 25 who's flipping with a car and gets it dented. Shimon has to pay Reuven for the damages, but that's not a reason that Shimon could leave the partnership. He can't say, hey, we made an agreement and you went ahead and did something. I'm sorry, Reuven can't say, Shimon, we made an agreement. We're not going to lease to kids under 25. And you went ahead and violated it. That's it. I'm done with you. Provided they said we're going to be in the partnership, let's say for a 2-year period of time, whatever they agreed to. They can't leave the partnership just because the other person violated the condition. Again, he's going to have to pay for the losses to the partnership because he specifically went against it. And this is an important concept. The Chochmah Shlomo says, obviously, if you make a T'nai Kofel, a proper T'nai like B'nai Gad, B'nai Ruvain, that if the condition is broken, the partnership will be violated, and you write it both ways, right? Then in a Chinami, the partnership is not violated, it dissolves. However, if you don't write that, like the Ramah says, the partnership does not dissolve because one person doesn't fulfill the conditions of the partnership. Now, it's kind of interesting, because we did say that regarding the duration of a partnership, you go after the industry standard. So if it was trinkets before Kratzmach, you could say you're allowed to dissolve it 2 weeks after January 1st. But until that point of time, you can't. Here, we do not go after the Umdana. Even though you could say there's an assumption, if one fellow is negligent on a condition, the partnership should dissolve, we do not say that in halacha. It does not dissolve because one fellow doesn't follow the condition. Yes, he needs to pay for the losses. Agreed, but it doesn't dissolve. Nishtatfu stam v'lo kavul zman. Let's say they just join a partnership, but they don't set an expiration date. Then in a chinami, they could divide whenever they could leave the partnership whenever they want. Shalom Yisrael. However, that's in a case where there's no industry standard. Hayazman Yadu, we discussed this. There's an industry standard for the selling of that schayra. Then everybody could stop the other person from leaving until that time period has elapsed, has been met. Okay? So to quickly review, you have an expiration date, you can't leave before the expiration date. There's no expiration date, that's one thing. But if there's no expiration date and there's an industry standard, it's clear to when the partnership extends, you cannot dissolve it, you can't leave beforehand, the other person could stop you, and you cannot dissolve a partnership when you're not allowed to early just because someone violated a condition of the partnership. It doesn't work like that. you have to stay in it, and I'll have to pay the losses. Okay. Now we go into another scenario that happens, and I think you alluded to this. Let's say one of the partners dies. So you have two partners that own a business, a car leasing business, that's what we've been discussing, or a trinket business, and one of them dies. Batla hashutfus oho esek. Afal pi shehisnu lizman kavua, the partnership concludes, even if they agreed to have a stay in the partnership till a certain date, or even if there's an industry standard. So a week before Kratzmach Nebuch, one of the partners dies, the shutfus is canceled. The shutfus is canceled. V'chein ikar, and the Ramah says that is how we paskin, that is the main thing. Now, what's going on here? Says the Sma, kishemeis ha'echad, when one of the partners dies. So what's going to happen to his chelek of the partnership? Where is it going to go? There's an ownership of money. It's going to go to his heirs. So now the heirs are the partners with Tati's partner, and it's a week before Kratzmach. Why could the person back out? Yochol habeiz lomar. The other partner could say, Nishtatafti mavichem pnei sheyadati shu baki b'tiv masomatan. The reason I joined your father in business is I knows he knew what he was talking about. And I don't think you guys know what you're talking about. So I'm out of here. Furthermore, according to the Sma, the heirs have the same claim. They could say, we're out of this partnership. Our father joined in business with you, but we don't like you. We don't feel comfortable with you. And therefore, either side, according to the Sma, is allowed to back out when one of the parties is no longer in the living. Yes, the heir obviously inherits. Let's keep it simple. There's one son, so everything's simple. One kid even. So real simple. He inherits the chelek of the business. But neither side, according to the Sma, based on the Ramah, is mechuyev to stay in the business. And it's irrelevant if we haven't reached the expiration date. It's irrelevant if there's a known time where this merchandise will make a profit and you're leaving before that known time. Nonetheless, each party could say, I had no interest in being in business with you. Now, the Aruch HaShulchan on page 14, going back a little bit, says that not only are you necessarily bound if we create an expiration date, or if there's an industry standard as to when there'll be an expiration date, or when it's clear you'll make money. But even if we're in partnership, although this I could apply today, we're in partnership to buy merchandise in place A and transport it to place B. Well, the transportation to place B and the time lapse, that is considered and sell it there, that's considered the expiration date. Okay? Now, the Aruch HaShulchan makes an important point. It actually wasn't in the gray here, but it's an important point. This entire concept, we say that one side cannot unilaterally dissolve a partnership. That is only when there are real partners. But sometimes in America today, we use the term partners as investors. Okay? So therefore, I give $100,000 to Ruvain. Ruvain is going to open up the store or buy the trinkets and sell them. And then we'll divide the profits. That is not a partnership in which you cannot leave. And why is that? Because in that case, Ruvain is effectively my employee. And an employee could always leave. If two people each pays $50,000 into the kitty, so then they are true partners. No one's working for the other, they're working for themselves. If I invest $100,000 and you're doing all the work, right? And this happens with real estate all the time, then the recipient, let's call him, of the money, is functionally an employee. He's working for half the profits. That's what it means. Even if on paper you're going to claim that they're partners, right? But that's not really the truth. And therefore, the halacha that you can never compel a worker to stay in a job because that is a sign of slavery, Kilu, that kicks in, and therefore the person could leave. Okay. Now, the Ridvaz, and this is what we'll conclude with today, has a tshuva. You have three partners, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. And one of them dies. Reuven dies. So we said that Reuven's kid could leave. Reuven's kid could say, Dad was willing to work with Shimon and Levi, we're not. And Shimon and Levi could say, we were willing to work with Reuven because he was an expert. You're a 30-year-old kid. We're sad that your father died. But come on, you've been in Kollel the past 10 years. What do you know about business? Come on. This is not for us. Fine. We got that already. What about Shimon and Levi, because there were three partners? Could they use the excuse, either of them, that Reuven is dead to dissolve their portions of the partnership? Or do we merely say that Reuven's heirs could leave, or they could leave Reuven's heirs, but Shimon and Levi, they're locked in until the termination of the partnership? Everybody with me as to the Shaila? So he wants to say like this. When you have business, Kagon, Nasan Reuven LeShimon v'Levi Mos. Reuven gave Shimon and Levi money to invest. So Reuven's an investor, and Shimon and Levi are partners in the investment. They're going to take the money and buy and sell property. Umeis Shimon, and Shimon dies. Reuven could say, I trusted Shimon and Levi. I didn't just trust Shimon alone. Similarly, if three partners are in a business, says the Ridvaz, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven dies, okay, Reuven's heirs could back out, or they could back out from Reuven's heirs. Can we say, and he says we do say, that either Shimon and Levi could back out and could dissolve their partnership too. Why? Shimon could say, remember what the Gemara said, Mazel devei treyadif, the mazel of two people together is better. Maybe the mazel of three people together is better. If there's bad vibes, if you will, they get diluted in the other two. And Shimon or Levi could say, I'm out too. I was happy when this was a three-way partnership. Furthermore, Shimon or Levi have another argument. They could say, listen, when we were together with Reuven, Shimon could say, so I trusted Reuven to be a brake on Levi's, reckless maneuvers, Levi's on-the-spot decisions, his knee-jerk reactions. And now Reuven's dead, I'm uncomfortable being alone in a partnership with Levi. So the Ridvaz paskins that the two remaining parties also have the right to unilaterally back out. Okay? We'll continue this conversation tomorrow. On Friday, we'll have our booklets and everybody will be able to participate. I wish everybody a truly, truly wonderful, wonderful day.